welcome to my channel. My name is Liz, and today I'll be reviewing Nothing But Trouble by Gemma Cosmos. Stated in the title, I did have this as an ARC. For those who may be unaware, ARC stands for Advanced Reader's Copy, so I got the book ahead of time before it was published to review it. I didn't get it that far in advance, I'm gonna be totally honest. I got it December 24th and it was published December 26th. So any errors or issues that are in it, I don't think probably got fixed. Like typos and such. That being said, let's get into it. Plot Trouble is a cozy sci-fi novel. It was in the description when I applied to be an ARC reader for it, it was described as being like a sci-fi Legends and Lattes, which I do really like and plan to review later on this channel. So I was like, that's really interesting, I'm totally down for it, and then I got the book on the 24th and read it right before the new year, so hence recording it now. And I took a ton of notes. All my notes are on my iPad today, so if you catch me holding this, all my notes are on here because I received it as an e-reader, and it's really nice to just open the book on one side and then have my notes on the other. Introduced to our main character, Eva Nora, who is called Nora pretty much the entire book for short, and she's arrived on Tranquility 7, which is underneath on the sign it says welcome to the moon, so it's presumably Earth's moon. She ran away from Earth, and she lands in this terminal on the moon. When she lands, she finds like one of the small shops in this terminal is for sale, and she goes inside of it and finds a bunch of things left in place, and finds that it was a repair shop of some kind from what she can understand by reading the ledger. And I really liked the start to this. I thought it was really interesting. I was very compelled by why Nora left Earth. I really wanted to know more about that. And so right away I was drawn into this. And chapter 2, we start to get a description of her a little bit. We're told that she has tight coils of hair, she's mid-30s, and she has like silver scars on her arms. So yay, character description. And I wrote one thing, I wasn't sure if they lived on top of the moon or inside of it. As I read more of the book, it seemed like they lived in the craters on the moon, and there's domes over top of each of the craters, but it's never elaborated upon how they get between them, because it mentions that there's like a library on another crater and stuff, and they go to it. I don't know how they got there. She goes to this one shop in this terminal called The Vacuum, which is like a bar, and meets this lady named Tesse. It's spelled Tesse, who notably has 6 fingers, and she's the barkeep. There was a good sentence that I really liked in this chapter of the word choice. Nora is talking to Tesse about buying the abandoned shop, and it is described as, with how expensive it was, it says, Nora's savings account laughed so hard it filed for divorce. I really liked I really liked that sentence. And I wrote down here, I liked the message so far of choosing yourself and pressing forward, though I do wish that there was more urgency to see what she wanted to get away from, and that's what I wrote after finishing chapter 2. Starts with Nora opening the shop, and she begins getting people to it almost right away. It specifically says in the book like 11 minutes in, which I found really interesting because we'd also been given the information that the shop had been closed for 3 years. So the fact that people found out that it was open right away seemed really interesting to me. So several people bring stuff in, and then this third person comes in and brings in this like android who looks human, and we're told that this is very, very illegal. This is really important. It's very illegal for her to have this because there's this thing called the sentience scare of '89, which is where there was a bunch of androids that looked like humans and they gained sentience and tried to rebel, which kind of reminded me of Detroit Become Human, and so I was also really interested by that plot line because I really liked that game when I played it. Anyway, After finishing chapter 3, I said, I wish we could see more of the colony so I could grasp what's going on. I'm interested at the concept of the robot taking in a breath, because that's what's described when this human-like android wakes up. And I wrote here, I said, how did people find it so fast when it's been closed for so long? Chapter 4, Tessay, comes to, like, welcome Nora to the terminal, the sales ring, the commercial ring, that's what it was called, I think. And then also introduces these other two characters named Jax and Maritza. Jax is, like, this teenager that delivers mail and stuff and has, like, a pair of space Heelys, is what I wrote. And then Maritza is also introduced, and she's, like, this older lady who grows plants. And at one point, it seems like Jax is Maritza's kid, but it's not elaborated on again, and so I wasn't really sure or not. And anyway, this, after they leave, Nora interacts with the sentient robot again, sentient robot, and is like, wow, he's so hot. And I wrote, girl, you are not falling in love with it at first sight. It feels unrealistic. And, like, if the protagonist was younger, that would be one thing. However, she is described as being mid-30s, and that doesn't seem like something a mid-30-year-old would do. I'm not a mid-30-year-old, I don't know. But it felt very unrealistic. It felt like a first love type of thing. It doesn't talk about any of Nora's past relationships at all in the book, so I don't even know if she has any. Maybe it is a first love, but it's not elaborated upon at all. And I feel like it definitely could have been to give her character some more depth. Chapter 5, Nora is talking to this, again, this android, and it turned on when she touched it, and she's like, why did you turn on when I touched you? And he says that he recognized Nora's touch as home, and I thought that could be really interesting. I wrote in here, I said, is Nora somehow a bot? Which could have been really interesting. It did not go that route, that was just my predictions. But she said, can you sit up or something? Lying there like a beautiful corpse is doing things to my blood pressure. And I was like, girl, you need to calm down. Calling this man beautiful. It is chapter 5 and you just met him. But she begins calling him 6, which was like the initials, essentially, of like what his actual program was called. And then chapter 6 started, and I thought it was really interesting right away, because the lady who brought 6 in said, fix him please. And I said, why was she told to fix him if he woke up with a touch? And he kept, like, staying close to her, and he said, proximity appears to stabilize your heart rate, because she's like, oh my god, he's so hot, and it was, like, calmer around him. And I was just like, oh, okay. Again, their relationship felt like it was moving very fast, and this chapter just built up their relationship a bit. Chapter 7, I did like. I said, okay, this is a nice chapter. It had, like, more insight to the previous shop owner, who we learn is named, like, Cal. And it, like, had Nora going, like, around the shop a bit more and cleaning it up and, like, discovering things about him. I did only write down, like, important stuff, summaries of the chapters as best as I could, so some of it was just not really a summary because there wasn't anything substantial. Saying this because 8, I just wrote dome. Is it built around the moon? Like, I still wasn't sure if it was built around, like, the whole moon or the craters or what was happening. And then I wrote Jax is Maritza's kid. I didn't get that impression when they were introduced. And that's really it. Chapter 9, I said, this exists, literally to just give 6 some sort of conflict. This was, somebody came in to have a bot fixed, and it was, like, a companion bot, and it was, like, way too tuned into the romantic side, and it was, like, pissing 6 off, and he's like, quit flirting with Nora. And I'm like, the relationship between 6 and Nora, I felt, was not built up, and so I had a very hard time caring about their actual relationship. I just felt like it was lacking a lot, and so anytime anything happened with them, I was like, I don't care. This chapter also used the word yeet. They said that Nora says, so Six picks up this like companion bot because it's pissing him off and sets it gently outside of the shop. And Nora was like, you just yeeted a robot. And first of all, he didn't yeet it, he set it down gently. Second of all, it's a sci-fi novel. And so many years in the future, and I feel like yeet dates it very quickly. Because it's 2026 now and we don't even use the word yeet anymore. That's like 2015 slang. And so I definitely don't feel like people, at least roughly maybe 100 years in the future, they are living on the moon. It said the sentient scare of 89, so I can presume it's at least past 2089. But I don't know, because that world building never happened. Chapter 10, we get some insight as to why she fled Earth. There was like a construction flaw that she had approved. She like saw the warning for it or whatever and ignored it and approved it anyways, and it caused like this big, huge collapse. Chapter 10, Six is helping Nora around... No, sorry, Chapter 11. I looked at my notes wrong. So Chapter 11, Six is helping Nora around the shop, and so he is described like throughout the book as having like this pulsing blue light underneath his skin. And he's like every time she like tells him he does a good job, it like gets brighter, and I'm like, this man is a simp. That's all I wrote. They go to the library. I think I forgot to put it in my notes, but there's like a dinner. No, the dinner is next. But Tessay and everyone else has basically been like, oh, it doesn't matter that he's super illegal because nobody on the moon cares. I'm like, fine, whatever. I still don't know if it was actually Earth's moon because it is described as moonlight coming in through the window in one part, and so I don't know if it is Earth's moon. They don't mention about ever like seeing Earth from the moon. They call it Tranquility 7, but I don't know. I do not know where exactly this is taking place. They go to the library, which is 2 craters over. Again, this is still my thing of I don't know how they're set up on the moon. Tessay meets them at the library and has this cat with her named Orbit. And she's like, oh yeah, my cat follows me everywhere. And then Orbit like jumps onto Nora and she's like, well, I guess he's yours now. And then Orbit is Nora's cat for the rest of the book. Which also just feels strange to me. Why are you giving up your cat? Is it actually your cat? Is it an alley cat? I don't know. The library bot at the library malfunctions and starts calling Six sexy unit, and I wrote, oh brother. And that's it. That's all I have. Oh brother. I could not care. None of these characters are described. I don't even really know what he looks like, so I can't say that he's like an attractive described character because they just say that he's hot. And then there was finally a conflict introduced that a bunch of people like Jackson, Maritza, and Tessay had heard that someone was inquiring about Cal, which is the owner of the shop that died. I don't know if I said he died earlier. He's dead. He died of old age. Chapter 13, Nora is invited to brunch at the Vacuum, which is the bar that Tessay owns, and Jax and Maritza is there, as well as like some of the people that Nora like fixed their things for her first day there. And Tessay's like, yeah, we're friends with them, and guess what, we're all family. And so it felt like very much that Gemma, or Gemma, I'm not sure how to pronounce the author's name entirely, she seems very focused on like the found family trope and wanting character relationships. But as I was reading the book, it felt like there was like a lack of like actually building the relationships up. It felt very rushed. She was just like, found family, yeah. And it left me like lacking care about the characters. Like in this thing, Jax consistently comments on like how adorable Six and Nora are, and Jax is like 15. Like I feel like that's not typical of a 15-year-old, especially like constantly comment on it to like people that you don't know super well. And I didn't care. It was more annoying. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, Jax is so right, they're so cute. I was like, I don't know anything about them to think that they're cute like that. Chapter 14, Nora starts kind of being like, oh, I might have romantic feelings for Six, or something like that. But I wrote down this quote of, which was absurd, since Six and her were only friends, and I was like, you have hardly given me anything to even believe that they're friends. It's supposed to be romantic, and there's a passage of time, but there's such insufficient evidence that some of what happens just comes across as creepy. Her and Six almost kiss, but then someone tries to break in, which interrupts the moment, and Six, like, gets his, like, biometric data, like, scans whoever was trying to break in. Just one piece of hair. And yeah, that was that chapter. They go to a market, again, out in the open. This robot is super illegal to have. I know Tessay was like, well, nobody on the moon cares. But also, we now know that there's, like, this person tracking, like, looking for Cal, very probably interested in Six, and she just goes walking around the, like, farmer's market with him. So yeah, they're discover that they're being followed by a dude wearing a scarf, which is very likely the guy that was looking for Cal. And Jax just happens to appear and point it out to them. They were just in the market. Jax shows up at, like, very, like, opportune times for them. It's always, like, they're chilling, and then Jax shows up, and they're like, hey, this is going on. You should pay attention to this, and, like, get out of here, bro. You're 15. Go home. So Six runs diagnostics on this dude wearing a scarf and confirms it is who tried to break in the night before. And then I also wrote, Six doesn't really have much of a personality other than being a simp. In chapter 16, Nora and Six go to this thing called, like, the airlock, and I wrote it was, like, recreational astronauting, but it was essentially, like, a bunch of scraps, and they were looking for stuff to, like, take back to the repair shop for Nora to use. And then Jax randomly appears over the comms and is like, I'm gonna interrupt your date. Even though it's not a date. I don't care. I don't think that it's a date at all. But they're like, well, you guys are hanging out alone. It must be a date. So they get what they're looking for, and then as they're leaving the moon's surface, they discover, like, a panel jutting out with, like, a serial number covered up. And they investigate it, and it reacts to Six. Like, it starts sending out a message, and so in order to silence it, Six has to, like, accept a thing into his code, and it sounded like a big panel because they noticed it from a ways away, and that the serial number was covered up. But then it's, like, a chip that he, like, accepts into himself. So I was a little confused about that. Regardless, he accepts this chip, and he's acting, like, a little bit more hesitant and stuff after he takes it in. Chapter 18, Nora just has nightmares about her failure back on Earth. There's mentions of her, like, going through, like, a tribunal that was, like, filmed to, like, or broadcast to, like, half the Earth, and so it's, like, humiliating for her. Chapter 19, Tessay and Maritza come over for coffee, and she talks a bit about her failure on Earth, but she just really mentioned that she faced a tribunal. She didn't tell them what actually happened.